FIU week, our guys are really excited, ready to start conference play. I love the fact that we get to come back home, need our crowd to be loud and be out there. I do want to say thanks to our crowd that was at the game at Indiana. Had a really good following there. We felt their presence, and we got to be able to come back home and get that home crowd advantage. So, but again, we're looking forward to this game and getting conference play started. With that said, questions?
I guess just looking at Conference USA as a whole for these first, few weeks of the season, what are your takeaways, evaluations, conference-wise as a whole?
It's anybody's game. I've had a chance to really watch every team play, and it's like anything. There's been some games that have been some tough matchups for some Conference USA teams, but everybody's pretty good, and you got to show up and play every week. And so we got a tough schedule, and as does everybody else, but it is a competitive conference for sure.
Coach, heading into Conference USA play, you had one of the craziest schedules in college football between Austin here, then a month pretty much on the road, either with a bye, Hawaii, whatnot. How does that help you guys out going into now more of a, regular schedule?
Yeah, we're excited to be at home for sure, to start conference play, to have that home field advantage, and, to travel all over like you talked about, and shows, our endurance and how we can withstand a lot of pressure. So, yeah, it's good to get back to where we're comfortable, and our guys love playing in our home stadium. So it'll be nice to be back home this week.
I know the Indiana game's something you moved on from, and you focused on FIU, but what are some good things from that game that you can appreciate heading into this game against FIU this weekend?
Well, I think for the most part on all our phases of the game, we played really well. It's just key plays that make the difference in games. And, I think back we had 545 yards of offense, unfortunately had 2 touchdowns called back, and then had an interception in the red zone. All those things, though, add up. And, and when you look back, those 3 or 4 plays are going to make a difference. But I think it shows that our team, we could be as good as we want to be, but you got to show up every week and you got to play the game the right way. And those 3 or 4 critical plays that come up, you got to make them happen. And so it won't be any difference this week with FIU. They'll be hungry, they'll be ready to play. They're excited to get going, to play against us. They've had a couple injuries that I think they'll get some guys back. So I expect a competitive game this week for sure.
Looking at FIU, obviously they've had some struggles over the last couple of years, but new AD with Scott Carr down there, new head coach Mike McIntyre, seems like they're trying to get this thing moving in the right direction. What kind of changes have you seen from the outside kind of looking in that regard?
Well, I think it's always tough when you got a bunch of new people, and, so they've had to start from scratch a little bit. But they're a competitive football team. The games that they've played in, they came back from behind, and was able to pull out a win. They had to go on the road and play a tough Texas State team that's much improved this year. Like I said, they've had some injuries that I think they'll get back now. So I expect a competitive game. And you asked me about Conference USA and what I think as a whole. FIU's no different. I think we're all about the same, and whoever shows up and plays the best, that's who's going to win.
Kind of sticking with FIU, their quarterback Grayson James came in, I believe, second half. Their opener against Bryant led them to that, win in that game, and then last game also played for them. I guess what's your evaluation of him? What's it going to take to try to slow him down?
Well, I think they got 2 quality quarterbacks, whether it's him or the original young man that started. They both can run. They're both quality passers. They have some good skill to throw to. I think they do a good job with their play calling to try to get those guys in the best situations. And anytime you face a guy that, can run, adds an extra threat there for your defense, and so you got to play really sound defensively. So that'll be a big point of emphasis for us this week, is not only being sound, covering, and stopping the run game, but you also got to stop the quarterback when he decides to run with it as well.
Looking at the run game for them, obviously, they have a really good runner. The last couple of years, not there anymore in that phase of the game, I guess. What do you see from them this year so far?
Again, they're doing a nice job with their scheme and trying to give their guys the best chance for success and getting good numbers in their boxes, whether they're trying to create a 5-man box to help the run. And, the runners are running with good pad level. And, again, it's early in the season. They've had to play 2 quarterbacks. I think that's kind of hindered them a little bit. But they're both quality quarterbacks, and a big part of our game is stopping the run. I think it'll be important for us to do that, and not only the running back but also the quarterback, and then obviously the explosive plays downfield. But if you look at it, whether it's in the passing game or the run game, they have quality people across the board. So we gotta make sure we take care of business.
Derek Smith seems like he's come on strong. Since he got here. Good game for you guys Saturday. What's the most impressive thing that you've seen from him, and that's led to his success?
He's a good space player. He can run well. He's a physical player. He's a smart guy. You can put him in a lot of different spots. We've moved him around. I think he fits the scheme pretty well and what Coach Summers wants to do, and so we're really glad that he's a part of us. He's obviously a newcomer, hasn't been here. Transfer guy, but he's been a big part of our defense, and we're going to need him down the stretch for sure.
And aside from him, like Jared mentioned, Caleb Oliver, Khalid Palazzi, really in the backfield, they're doing a lot of sacks, interceptions. What can you say about this backfield and how impressive they've been up to this point this year?
They've done a great job in coverage for the most part. Hats off to Indiana. They really tried to stress us in the passing game, gotten some empty formations, and a lot of concepts were thrown at us, and for the most part, I thought we did a good job, covering. They had a couple drops, that could have been explosives where they got behind us a little bit. We had to get that fixed, but we've done a nice job out there on the edges, especially at corner. And, so Khalif's a big, tall, physical corner that can run, and that's great to have that length. And then on the other side, you got Upton, who's very physical as well, and he's also our punt returner, and, he's just a competitive guy. So helps you defensively when you got 2 guys out there that can cover and try to limit the passing game.
I know I've asked you about their offense quite a bit, and you've talked about it. Some of their skill guys, but, Tyrese Chambers is one of the guys in the league that had, a lot of high expectations, and he showed, why these first couple of weeks. What have you seen from him specifically, skill-wise, and, going up against some of the other receivers that you had? I look at Dre McCray or DJ Matthews. How does he compare to those guys, and how does going against them help you this week?
There's good skill players everywhere. It doesn't matter who you play. Every team's going to have good skill players, and there's always going to be that guy or two that you're concerned about. Can he get behind you? Can you tackle him in space? And that's what we see week in and week out, and he's no different. And so the biggest thing is when you face good skill guys, you got to play sound defense. You got to be good with your coverages. And so the biggest thing is explosives can get you, but as long as you tackle them and get them down and make them kick field goals, that's the biggest thing. Your explosives are going to happen in a game. People are going to get behind you, but if you can limit the explosives there, then that's a big part of it.
Looking at your running game, one of the best rushing games that you've had in the last couple of seasons. Kai, I believe, broke the 100-yard mark. You haven't really seen that the last few seasons because you've been kind of using 3 different guys back there, or 2 or whatever. How do you approach that? The running game, having it be by committee, where you look back to like 2019, where Gage was your guy, carried most of those. I guess what's your approach in that situation?
Well, I think a lot of our guys deserve to play. As you go on throughout a season, there's usually a guy that kind of steps up, more as the season progresses. I think of Noah Whittington last year. As the season progressed, he kind of came to the forefront a little more and got the ball more. Kai had a really good game. Kai is very dependable. But Jakari went in there and had a couple explosive runs as well. And, but I like our 3 running backs, and we'll continue to rotate those 3. And as we progress, one guy may get more reps than the others, but I kind of like how we're doing the running back by committee. Each guy has different skill traits. Very impressed with what Kai did last week, but it's a new week, and practice determines kind of what the number of reps are and the carries and all those kind of things. But really like our running back core as a whole. They're doing a nice job.
Helton availability-wise, I know we've asked about Josh in the past. I don't think we've seen AJ break the last couple of weeks. I guess what's their status heading into this week, and anybody else that,
Yeah, AJ's doing good. AJ had a knee that he's working through, had a good week of practice last week, just kind of wasn't quite there yet. We'll get out there tomorrow and see kind of where he's at, hoping we can get him back. Josh is really close. I know I said that last week, and and he had a knee as well. So you just don't ever know, how that's going to play out. A lot of that has to do with them and how they feel. Both of those guys really want to play. They want to be out there, so I'm not concerned that, they'll be back as soon as they can be back. But I think they're both really close. I don't know for this week. We'll see, but hopefully we can get them back.
I know every year every team's different, but the last time Western Kentucky started 2-0, went to Indiana, had a 3-point loss the season ended. Pretty good for you guys, one of the best in program history. Since you were here, what do you remember about that team and the guys there and how it compares to the group that you've got this year?
Yeah, obviously we're our own team. It's nice to compare, but the reality is we're our own football team, and we can be as good as we want to be. And our guys know that, and we can beat every team we play, and every team that plays us can beat us as well. So if anything good comes out of a close, tough loss at Indiana, it shows you what you're capable of doing. We know we were a good football team. We expected to win that game. We came up short. But you take away from that, hey, if we play well, we do what we're supposed to do, play as a team, we're as good as anybody. And but that doesn't mean you're just going to win. It doesn't mean it's just going to happen. You have to go out there and make it happen. And our guys have a good mindset. They got their jaw set. Obviously, when you have a tough loss like you had, there's two ways. You can sulk and look back and try to think back what you could have done. We've always said here, the day after a game, you get 24 hours, and after that, it's back to work. Our guys got great mentality, great culture, and they're ready to go to work this week. So I think we can be as good as we want to be. We just got to put it all together.